Welcome to the Journey to Happy podcast, where you get concrete tools for mindset work, my best tips for lowering your anxiety. And you also hear funny and encouraging stories from me and others who have stories to share. Around here, you'll discover the easy way to stop overthinking, to get rid of self doubt, and finally embrace a calmer, more confident you. I am Olga, your host, a former therapist, a life coach, wife, blissfully an IVF mother, and a coffee lover. I'm excited that you tune in today, and I'm honored to be on the journey with you. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Journey to Happy. I'm Olga, your host, and as always, I want to take a moment to thank you for joining and listening. I was reviewing my stats of the podcast, and I realized that I have people from Ghana listening, from Egypt, from Italy, from Russia, New Zealand, Taiwan, and I'm just so incredibly excited that we all get to be connected through this network of podcasting. I never even imagined that when I first started this podcast that we're going to be having listeners from so many places. And I just want to say thank you, because by you listening, I get to do more of what I love. And that's just so exciting. I've got an incredible guest today. And I say she's incredible because she is. There is no other way to describe it. And I don't know, you're looking at me and I wonder if you believe this about yourself, Christina, but I think you're so incredible. And I want all of you to hear Christina's story because it's inspirational and it's transformational and it's going to inspire you for sure to take charge of your life and do with it what you absolutely want to. Even if you're in your wildest of dreams, you can't even imagine that being a possibility. I am today with a former client of mine, a former coaching client of mine. Her name is Christina Wirch, and I said that right. Today, she's a lead generation and engagement manager.
Yeah.
And she owns her own company, but that's definitely that was not the case a few years back. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Christina, and then her and I are going to just walk you through her transformation and where she's at today. How long have we known each other, Christina? A couple of years?
We've known each other about 4 years because I came to you right as I was going through a separation, and I've kind of worked with you on and off ever since.
Yeah, exactly. So Christina came to me when I was still doing therapy, and she had just gone through a life transition, like a separation from her husband, and we were doing some of that emotional work and worked on and off. Most recently, she joined my Detox the Mind when I opened it, when I first pioneered the program. And I want to say it cost something like $47 at that time because I was really piloting the program, and since then it's grown. And Christina joined unbeknown to me while she was going through a really hard time. Before joining, I think you had a home daycare, right? Like that's what you were doing. So after and before separation, you had a home daycare?
Yeah, I had started it when we moved to Ottawa about 5 years ago, and I continued it after my separation just to kind of try and keep life as normal and stable at the time for my kids as I could.
Yeah, so Christina is a mom of 2 boys, very handsome boys. One is he a teenager or past teenage?
He just turned 19, so he has finished his first year of university, which is crazy to say that.
It's crazy because Christina is like half my age. I feel like amazing. So, and then she has a little guy who's, I want to say 9.
Yeah.
So Christina had this home daycare, and as you guys can imagine, comes COVID, boom. All of her children were removed from home daycare, and your income went from being decent to non-existent.
Yeah, I literally woke up and just lost my income overnight. Just with COVID, all the parents understandably decided to, keep their children home. And because I'm self-employed and the way it worked with COVID, they weren't required to continue to pay for their spots. So yeah, it was a really terrifying time just to wake up as a single parent and not know how you were going to pay your bills moving forward, or, pay for groceries or things like that for your children.
Terrifying. Like, I can't imagine. And then what did you do? You see me doing a workshop that's $47, that is a lot of money for somebody without an income, and you sign up for it. What were you thinking in those moments, terrifying moments of like, what am I going to do? What was your mindset at the time?
So I think for me, like, I just knew that not doing anything wasn't an option. Like, I knew I had my children and that I had to figure something out for them. So I think I was highly motivated at the time to come up with a solution. And I had been wanting to make a change from the daycare for a while, but I kind of let fear and comfort kind of keep me in that spot, because I had what I thought was a stable income at the time. So it seemed like it wasn't, it didn't make sense, it felt like, to try and make a change. And then also just making the change itself felt scary. So it felt easier to stick with what I knew. And so when all those excuses and reasons to stay stuck were removed for me, then it was kind of like, well, now I just need to move forward and I need to, figure something out. And then when I saw your program, it really spoke to me, because I've always, or over the last 5 years at least, struggled with anxiety and things like that. And that was part of what was being covered in Detox Your Mind. And I knew, like, obviously COVID had really brought that back up again for me, as well as like the limiting beliefs and like the negative self-talk and all those kind of things. And so I kind of felt like I had to get my mindset right in order to really have anything else turn out differently, or to really be able to move forward.
And I had several people join that program, and I have no idea what anybody else did with that information, but what I have seen for sure is that you took this on. So I think from there, we might have had also some one-on-one work in between that program and something else. Actually, we did have some one-on-ones. And eventually you got your daycare filled up, again, like COVID restrictions lifted and you had a full-time or full income back, daycare was there. But you had already kind of explored that maybe this isn't as stable as I think it is. And also, like, these families that you've been dedicating so much time, like, eventually everybody looks after themselves, as you said, understandably so. And so the each of doing something else kind of like started there. I remember us brainstorming, what could you do? And something that I would love for you to talk about, because I know you're not alone in that, is that sometimes when we're out of the work field for a long time, we kind of doubt our own abilities to do certain things. And I know that was one of the limiting beliefs that we worked together on, how you might have had some admin prior to becoming a mom and a home daycare provider. You had other life, like professional life, that you hadn't really been utilizing. And it felt strange to you to even say, like, oh, that's true, I do have these skills. You kind of felt like, I don't have these skills. And essentially, you're using many of those skills today for what you now do. How did you walk yourself through that?
So like, that was definitely something that I had to work through, because I hadn't been working outside the home since my youngest was born. So like, I'd been out of the workforce for almost 10 years, and at least the professional workforce, I should say. And like, I felt like it was just hard to kind of picture myself kind of back in like that corporate environment, or just like in a professional environment of any kind. Because I felt like, like, I haven't applied these skills in so many years, and that, like, maybe that they're not going to want to hire me because, like, I've been working from home, and then, like, a stay-at-home mom before that. So kind of felt like I'd be not the first choice, I guess, like, for an interview or trying to get a position. And I think I had to really realize that I had utilized a lot of those skills from working for the federal government, like as an administrative assistant. And I transferred a lot of those skills into my home daycare. And then like I also had skills that maybe weren't on paper, but could still be applied as well moving forward. So I think I had to see kind of like that value in myself first before I could really expect anybody else to see it. And also just build up kind of like that self-belief and confidence in myself so that I could picture myself kind of moving forward and taking on something outside the home.
And so that was like a fear that you had. Maybe I'm not going to succeed. Maybe I'm not going to be a good candidate to even be given an interview. Mm-hmm. But eventually you opened up your own business. So how did that transition go from maybe looking for employment to saying like, or maybe I can just continue to be my own boss?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I never really pictured myself as the type of person to be self-employed, just because like I like that security and stability of like, I guess like working for like, say, the federal government or something like that. But when I really started to think about doing something outside the home, there's a lot of things that didn't appeal to me, like having to commute and the less time I would have with my children in the evenings. And I felt like there'd be a lot more stress and things like that put on my life with, like I said, the commuting and rushing to get out the door and get my son to daycare and all those things. So I started to look at what other options could there be that I could do potentially from home. And with COVID, that was something that had started to become a lot more of a possibility because a lot of things had moved to working from home. And I remember I had heard about the online kind of virtual assistant world a couple of years beforehand, but I could never really figure out how to get started. So I never seriously pursued it. And then I kind of thought about that again and realized that it really kind of was the best of both worlds because I could apply all of my knowledge and skills from like I had about 5 years of corporate experience before my son was born, as well as having like the work from home lifestyle and, being able to be my own boss, dictate my own hours and have that flexibility with my children. So then I decided to really kind of pursue that more seriously. And then that was something I had started to work with you on during kind of like our one-on-one sessions.
Yeah, I was like, you can do this, do this, do this. Here's what I found. I mean, as a therapist and as a coach, I have worked with more people that I can remember. And the people that always stick out for me in my memory of like, that was a great person to coach are the ones that go diligently to do the homework, that we have a session and then you realize like, oh yeah, I am insecure here. Okay, I'm going to do that thing. And that you do it. And that's what I noticed. You were so diligent. So I am not a business coach, but I was like pretty much helping you create. Owning a business is not hard to tell somebody else the ropes, what to think about. And given that I used the service that you were going to be offering, like I had some of that to give you. And the thing that I found impressive, like the next day you had done some research, you had put it to work, even though you had still full-time daycare, you were just unapologetic about getting shit done. You're like, I really mean this change. I know it's terrifying because I can't say that you waited for fear to go away. I think that you did it fearful. And then you open your own business as a virtual assistant, realize that virtual assisting on its own wasn't like, it was too broad. Mm-hmm. Narrow it down to like, I'm going to be a lead generation and engagement manager for people. This is my cost. But I also remember having a session where you were terrified that you had just paid more money than you had. You used your credit card to pay for a business coach. That's a huge leap of faith, right? Like you don't have a look, you just got your money back, your income back, and now you're going to use your credit card to probably max it up with some coaching because you really meant business. I cannot say, I don't know what else speaks courage more than that. And because I think you were so invested, you're like, I'm going to make this work. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about the mindset of this woman who has 2 children, who has loved safety all her life. Like, this is my income, this is what I do, to making such a big, risky, I'm going to say it's risky because to that mindset, that was probably to do and to invest. And I don't know if that was a great investment in the end, was it?
So no, I ended up kind of regretting that particular investment, or not regretting it. I guess I should say that's not the right word, but it ended up like, I feel like I didn't do enough research into that investment where maybe it wasn't the right fit for me. But I definitely learned from it and, was able to take some things from it to apply to starting my business, and definitely learned about kind of investing moving forward into doing a little more kind of research and asking the right questions and things like that. But yeah, like I maxed out my credit card to make that investment, and pretty much was down to like my last pennies at that point. And I was terrified that I wasn't going to succeed, that this was going to be like other things before where, like I put money into things because, like I had tried to start like a blog, years before, and was going to try and like make that into a thing, and, like paid the money and nothing came from it. And so I was worried that it was going to be another thing where I was going to put all this money into it and it was going to be a waste of money, a waste of time, add to my debt, and just kind of, in my mindset, fail again. But then once I kind of made that mindset or decision that I was going to be a virtual assistant and I was going to pursue this, like I definitely just went all in with it. And I was like, well, if I am going to quote fail, then I'm going to give it everything I have so that I know that I did everything I could possibly do before I look at other employment options. And so, yeah, like I think once I kind of made that mindset shift of like, it's not so much failing, but it's just, like trying and giving it everything I have, then I was able to kind of move forward with a very determined mindset and just kind of look at what steps I had to take and start implementing them as quickly as I could. And I definitely think the mindset part of it was a huge aspect because like I had worked on my anxiety, I'd worked on the limiting beliefs, the confidence and things like that, so that I could kind of have that self-belief and kind of, move forward with it.
It sounds easy, but it's a heck of a lot of inner work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I've said this to you before, but I'm so proud of the work that you've done. And you didn't stop there, because so you started, you're like, okay, I think I got my feet wet on this. This is what I want to do. When did you open that business as a VA? When did you say you?
So I started working on it in July of 2020. And like that's when I first kind of started building my website and things like that. And I'd say I kind of more seriously started pursuing it, like looking for clients and kind of all those kind of things. I'd say like kind of into August.
I remember celebrating your first client. You're like, who's gonna hire him? Like, somebody will. I know, like it's always the hardest part when you're opening your own business is that first sale or that first vote of confidence that you can do something. But it's also terrifying because you're like, oh my God, now they're giving me money. I have to come up with something. And I think 6 months later is when you close your daycare, or was it longer than that? And then just fully diving.
Yeah, it was pretty close to 6 months. So I closed my daycare in February because I was able to match, if not exceed, my income from the daycare with the virtual assistant business. And I definitely think like the mindset work had to continue throughout that entire time because it was just always something new to work through. So yeah, that gives the fear of like, why is nobody hiring me? Is there something wrong with me? Why are these other people already have so many clients and I don't have any? And then, like you said, when you got hired, it's okay, now I actually have to deliver on it. And what if I can't kind of meet their expectations or provide the results that, or deliver things like that? And so it's always kind of working through something, but it was kind of, I think like feeling that fear, but moving forward anyways, like still choosing to take those steps, take that next step, and just do one thing at a time to kind of move forward. And so I was able to, like I kind of started off offering, like I always say, like every service under the sun. Like I was offering, my mindset was, well, if I offer every single service I can think of that a virtual assistant can do, I'm going to open myself up to more people and like I'll appeal to everybody. And it actually ended up being better that when I kind of niched down to focusing on one specific thing, that was when I was able to really kind of hone my expertise and really not only attract people to wanting to work with me, but also to kind of be more effective in speaking to my ideal clients and really be able to kind of like sell more effectively, but also market, I guess, myself as well. And so niching down to focus on lead generation engagement ended up being like the best thing I could do for my business, because within 2 months of doing that, like I had booked out my services. So I had like maxed out the number of clients I could take. And then I worked to kind of save up some money and pay off some debt so that I could close the daycare, but do it at a point of feeling comfortable and confident that like I was secure.
I think what you just said applies to anybody in life. Like sometimes we think more is more and better. And I've experienced in my own life that less is more, that doing less things in one day is so much more enjoyable, that narrowing down like lowers anxiety, increases confidence, makes you far more focused. For all my type A personalities out there listening to this, where we are really attached to performance and how much we got done to like kind of give ourselves some worth and value, it's so important to hear this. She did it in her business, but also if she still applied this in her life, personal and otherwise, that it's so much more efficient and successful when we realize less is more. Focus on one thing at a time and master that, like whatever it is that you guys are working through as you're listening to this, like if you're working on your marriage, on your career, on your fitness, just grab one thing, what's your priority, and focus on that. And you see, like Christina, in 2 months, you've experienced massive success in that area because you're giving it your all versus like a tiny little bit of attention to this and that. And you know what, Christina, I experienced the same. When I opened my private practice, I was a generalist. I would help anybody. Yeah. You've got small feet, I can help you with that. You've got addictions, I can help you with, I was helping everybody, partially because I didn't really know what I wanted to be doing specifically. So sometimes that's important that we experience like something larger, but as you get to know who you are, what you like best, to narrow yourself down, it's so helpful. Okay, so you went from a separation that like hit you hard to being a single mom of two, to having to like suddenly like assume that position. Within those 5 years, you lost your income. There's a pandemic. You're like, what the heck? You were having anxiety. Somehow you mustered this courage to say like, fuck it, I'm not going to let this define me. I'm going to do something about it. And you go to town to create this opportunity for yourself. Tell me what has been the biggest takeaways, and why do you tell the audience where you're at today? Because it's impressive. I know I follow you on social media faithfully, and because I'm so proud of you. I sincerely am so proud of you. I want to, like, if Instagram had claps, like instead of a heart, I'll be clapping everything that you do, because I feel your hard work is paying off, and in such a beautiful way, that you deserve everything that you've got going on because you've worked for it. To tell the audience where you're at today, like kind of your accomplishments and how you're feeling about yourself.
Yeah, no, that means a lot to hear that. Thank you. So yeah, like I'd say my life's done like a complete 180. Like I've been able to consistently stay booked out, to kind of create becoming one of the go-to experts in my field on Instagram for what I do, and have like I've been able to earn like 10K months, so $10,000 a month in income. And I was able to pay off over $25,000 worth of debt since starting my business. And I was just able to purchase my dream home for my boys and I. So we're moving into September into our new home. I was able to take my boys and I on a trip to Disney World, and we're going back again in January. And we also have a European cruise booked for next September, because travel is a huge passion of ours. And I think also too, like the transformation is also within. Like I never really, I guess, saw myself being able to achieve all of this. Definitely didn't have the self-confidence or the self-worth. I really had to work on that after my divorce, just kind of really believing that I was worthy of things, and also redefine what my life was going to look like moving forward, because I really didn't have a vision of what that new life could look like. And I think I had always kind of stayed safe and kind of maybe played it small, because I was kind of nervous or afraid to step beyond that. And I really had to work through that anxiety and the panic attacks and all that kind of stuff that I've been dealing with over the years in order to really be able to achieve everything that I have. And I think, my boys definitely motivated me, but also I think I had a lot more inner strength and determination than I think I realized. And I think I just really, once I kind of committed to it, just really pursued it wholeheartedly and stopped kind of letting the excuses or things like that kind of get in the way.
Hi, friends. I'm interrupting you to personally invite you to join my new Reset Your Mindset 12-week coaching program. It is 12-week to go from fear to courage and finally to take inspired action. We see the world as we are, not as it is. Let that sink in. Working on having a complete mindset reset can help you see things differently, to see things as they really are and not as your mental drama tells you they are. Raise your hand if time after time you have found your mental drama taking over you, your peacefulness with worry, with limiting beliefs, with unexplained fears that keep you not just from your full potential, but also from being genuinely happy. So I don't know you, but I believe life is too short to not be happy. And that's why I've created a 12-week program that can help you learn all the tools to properly learn how to reset your mindset, to go from all those thoughts that make you live life in fear, to feeling courageous, to having mental clarity, to walking away from feeling blocked to being happy and confident. So imagine you're feeling confident in your ability to do things that used to keep you paralyzed in fear. Imagine you trust your inner voice because it is confident instead of full of anxiety. Imagine you're 100% in control over your emotions and thoughts. You have now unlocked your motivation to get things done for real. Your thoughts finally match your dreams and aspirations, not your fears and what ifs. If you are feeling this is a calling for you, if you want to try life coaching for a short period of time with an investment of $1,200 for the 3 months, you get weekly calls with me, you get weekly mindset videos. We start September 13th and we go all the way to mid-December. Sign up and let's finish this year strong. The application link is in the show notes, so head over there, apply, and let's see if you're a good match and get you into this program. I think you were a master of the yes, but attitude, and then that was a big mindset change for you. Not yes, but okay, this is hard, and how do I go? What am I going to do about it? That's amazing. I'm curious, your boys, what do they say? Have they noticed a big change in you and in their lifestyle?
So I definitely think it's inspired them a bit. Like it's weird to think of myself being an inspiration because like I never really saw myself that way. But my younger son always talks now about starting his own business. Like he wants to create a video game company when he gets older. And we were going on a walk the other day and he's asking me for like business advice and all that kind of stuff, which was super cute. And I think like, they've definitely, I think, noticed that, we're more financially secure now and we're able to do more than we were able to before. And so I definitely think that they're proud of me. And like, like my older son's always asking me, how things are going and has been really impressed with how the business has been doing. And I also just wanted to say too, like about kind of the stuff from before was I always had, I think, a victim mindset, and I didn't realize that kind of initially. And so I kind of always had like reasons or excuses for kind of why my life wasn't good, or kind of blaming, like the divorce or, different things like that for the life circumstances. And I think when I stopped kind of doing that and really kind of, like I said, took a more empowered kind of approach, that really shifted things for me.
What do you think was the catalyst for you to make that mindset shift?
Well, I definitely would say I think it was committing to doing that inner work. So like, I definitely think working with you really helped me to create those tools and even just the awareness to be able to make those changes. And I think definitely that inner talk was something I really had to work on, because like I was like my worst critic. I was always putting myself down, talking negatively of myself and things like that. And so I think once I kind of realized that I didn't want that to be my story anymore, that I didn't want to be that victim, the woman whose husband left her, who, like is struggling to make ends meet and all those kind of things. And I decided that I wanted more for myself, not just for my boys too, of course, but I think also just realizing that I by myself deserve to have more was really kind of the catalyst to being able to make those shifts in my mindset and then also in my life.
Have you noticed any other changes in your life, not just financially, obviously? And like I've always said that our finances are strictly related to our emotions, like, and how much, how good or worthy we feel. And the more worthy we feel, the less money struggles we have. But have you noticed anything else in your life being better or different because of this mindset shift?
Yeah, I think it's really taught me how much mindset plays a role in things. Like I've definitely seen like a huge impact on what's had in my business that, like if I believed that things were going to be hard or that I was going to struggle to sign clients, then I would, because I'm speaking that into my life. And so when I kind of really released any expectations on and detached from the outcome and things like that, it really attracted those opportunities to me. And I think also in my life, like I think the biggest things have been just that mental freedom, like that peace of mind, I think has been a huge thing, because I used to weigh myself down with so much kind of negativity and all those kind of things that I wasn't enjoying my life, that I was really just kind of going through the motions and kind of not actively participating. And so I think now, like I definitely see more possibilities for myself. I feel like there's a lot more that, like is possible for me. But also, like, I think it's made me a better mom. I feel like I have more energy and am able to be better, like more present with my kids and be able to pour more into my friendships or things like that. And also, just be able to see that better life was kind of there for me. So having that freedom emotionally and mentally really has just kind of made life like exciting and more enjoyable, and not just, like I said, trying to get through it.
Do you see yourself married again in the future?
I think that's something that I'm still kind of working through, is kind of like the relationship side of things. I definitely want to have a partner and be in a relationship again. And that was something like I had started to kind of get back into dating, which was kind of terrifying after being married for so many years and stuff like that. But then with COVID, I had kind of put that on pause, just with everything and all the lockdowns we've had and stuff. But I do want to kind of start getting back into the dating world again and stuff, because I think now, like I know more of what I'm looking for, and I feel like I'm in a better place mentally and emotionally, that I can attract the right type of partner. Because before, I used to attract guys that weren't good for me or that weren't treating me well or things like that, and I could never understand why. I was having I had enough horror story dates that. I could have written a book. I used to joke, and I couldn't understand why that would happen to me. And I really think it was kind of like the energy I was putting out and the mindset I had, and what I believed I deserved or things like that. So I definitely want to be in a relationship, and then we'll see about marriage.
I wish you to find the right guy, and not just like Mr. Perfect. You've earned it. But I do love what I'm hearing, and what I'm hearing is you're taking ownership of you, your standards, what you're looking for, and as a coach, we could see that from the outside, but we can't possibly put that in your head to change, and so I think that you've gotten to that level of understanding, and I am like, you wouldn't have the level of success that you have today had you not made that mindset change.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I wanted everybody to hear this story, because we can minimize the mind. We can minimize, like, oh, it's not because I'm rude to myself internally that I don't succeed in life. Yes, that's exactly why you don't succeed in life. That's exactly why you get on your own way of success. And ladies, we don't have to wait until fear is gone out of our sight for us to do the scary thing. We really have to have the courage to do things while we have fear. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, we'll be all that wrinkly and thinking like, oh shit, I should have never been afraid of that after all. And we didn't do the thing. So I think that that's so impressive. I would be curious to know, like, you were my kind of client who always come back to a session, but how do I do it? Like, break it down into 5 million steps, and how do I do it? What would you tell somebody who may have gone out of, could be a relationship or just a life circumstance where their own self-esteem is really low? They're not really thinking they're worthy. They're listening to your story and saying like you would a few years back say like, well, that's them, not me. They definitely didn't have my childhood. They didn't have my story. She must have been lucky. That's always our mind. Like, she must have had money before, like something. I don't know. I know that's an assumption people make from me. Like, oh, you're successful in business because you started it with money. No, I did not. So I think, what would you say to that woman who's listening to your story and saying like, yes, but what kind of words of wisdom does this Christina have that old Christina could have heard and be like, okay, I can do it too?
So a couple of things come to mind. One would be just kind of taking that next step, like instead of looking at it as the big picture and feeling so overwhelming or feeling like it's impossible. It's just kind of asking yourself what that next best step is, and then just doing, that little step, because they'll add up. And I think that was really how I moved forward, was kind of working on one thing at a time. And then I was able to kind of tackle the next and the next. And also just, I think like investing in myself really was the best decision like I ever made, because I think like it not only like makes you more committed to it because you've invested financially in it, so you're already more committed, but I think having that support is so valuable. And so like I think would have been able to shift all my mindset stuff on my own. Like I wouldn't have had the tools or even known kind of where to start, or even creating that awareness over it. And having that accountability was so helpful too, because especially as a single person, I didn't have anybody at home to hold me accountable to things. And so once I kind of invested in myself the first time, then that's what, kind of made me invest in my business. And then, I've since invested multiple times, both in coaching or in others in my life, like with, like a nutritionist or, things like that, because then I want to tackle the next thing. So I definitely think that believing you're worthy of it, believing that you're deserving, and just, I think like wanting more for yourself, like, because I think in the beginning, when I first kind of was at that point of just being separated and all those kind of things, and kind of feeling like, like at my lowest, was kind of really being able to believe that I was worthy of more, and having that kind of vision for myself to move forward.
You've said a word before, and you said it a few times, that I want to, if people didn't pick up on it, I personally want to bring a lot of awareness to it and emphasis, because I do believe that word in integration, so in practice, doing it, is what will bring success to anyone, no matter where you're trying, mm-hmm. what goal you're trying to accomplish. And that word, it's one of my favorite words, commitment. Christina, you said several times, it's until I committed. And I do think that I agree with you. I've paid several of my coaches thousands of dollars. And it's true, like to the point that I'm terrified of the investment. I'm like, oh my God, it's not like I invest in real estate. I don't know if I've shared this in the podcast before. My husband and I think that the smartest way to invest money is in real estate. And I urge any woman who is in business or who's working and has got some money saved up to invest in real estate. I believe it's the smartest thing to do with your money. So I commend you for buying your dream home, and I can't wait for you to buy another one and another one. I wish for you that. But my point is that I feel that when we are committed financially to something or emotionally or all things combined, that commitment pushes through the fear, because we're like, shit, I already jumped in this pool. I may as well swim, or I'm going to drown. And I can say, even for anybody listening, 3 or 4 years, I was pregnant. So it would have been 3 years ago. I was in, where was I? Some city in the States, Nashville, at a conference with my business coach. My business coach at the time was American. I was going to say still is, but no, my current business coach is not American. And I was sitting there and I was hearing a panelist talk, and she actually said that she made it to where she was because of one simple word: commitment. And I started analyzing my own behaviors of commitment, and I was like, I'm so flaky with my commitment at times, like in the areas where I didn't have full success, that I wouldn't feel like, my marriage is like strong. I'm so committed to it. Like, bring it on and I'll work through it, and I'm committed. I didn't get married and said, we'll see if this, like, I was committed. Me being pregnant was pure commitment. Like, I didn't give up. I kept going on through 5 million doctors, all the treatments, recover from all the losses, full of fear of another loss, and still doing it. And I noticed for myself, holy crap, the things that I'm really successful at is where I can sincerely say I've committed to see it through. Like you, Christina, said, you didn't know if you were going to succeed. We never know that future, but the sensation or the satisfaction that we committed and full commitment didn't bring us there, then you can accept it and move on, because you're in good terms with yourself. So I love that. And and I'm not saying this because I am a coach to women. I cannot say enough of the impact that it has to invest in ourselves. And you said, like, I've bought myself books, I listen to podcasts. Nothing to me is as effective as a human on the other side listening to me and saying, like, Olga, but you didn't see this blind spot. Let me show you that blind spot.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, because like I had bought like all the self-help books before. Listen to self-help podcasts, all those kind of things. But I would read the book, but then I never implemented what I was learning. And I think you can only get so much from a book too. And so definitely when I invested like in coaching, and then, like you said, committed to implementing what I had from the session into my life, that is, I think, like what made the biggest change for me. Because I remember when I did Detox Your Mind, like I really remember like implementing the stuff from the calls and the workbook and things like that. And I think that was the first time I had really seriously applied a lot of it to my life. Like I'd done some of the work before, but never, I think, at that level of commitment. And so that's when I started to see some changes with my mindset. And then even with business, I think if I hadn't invested, in that first coaching program, I don't know if my business would have taken off or if I would have been successful, because making that commitment really spurred me to, even though like maybe it wasn't the one I would have invested in or wish, maybe it had been different, making that financial commitment was really what kind of gave me that much more drive and determination to succeeding, because like I had put that into it. And it really spurred me on.
And I think that second part is the accountability, right? Like it's so easy to buy a book and read it and be like, oh, it's interesting, and never put it into practice, because the author is not knocking on your door saying like, so did you apply chapter 1 yet? Or the podcast. I have a personal mantra myself. If I'm going to listen to an educational podcast, not like a fun podcast, like I listen to Joe Rogan's podcast, and like it's fun. And actually some of the supplements I take is because I've heard something amazing about them. The way I'm eating right now is based on like a few of the people he interviewed that I just love their work. And I'm like, okay, I want to eat that way. But for the most part, like if I'm taking a workshop or a course, or I have a call with my coaching call, right after my call with my coaching call, I have implementation time. It's block. So I know that if she told me, okay, from now on, this is what I need you to do, at least I take that time to put it in my calendar if it's something that needs to be in my calendar. If it's a task that I can tackle right away, I do it. I've implemented that. If I go to a workshop and I found it interesting, I want to apply that right away so that I can solidify the learning. But the reality is that most of us, without an accountability human, we would put it off, because why not? We can. So we just put it off. Which I again think that is the main difference between taking a course versus having a coach, right? Like being in a coaching program. And actually, I've made, based on that knowledge, I've made a decision that as of next year, none of my courses are just an online course that you take by yourself. All of my courses will have also a call with me. All of them, because I want to be that accountability partner, so that it's not just a course you bought and never used it once. You're like, that sounds like a great idea at the moment, but I haven't done it. I want to make sure that I want to provide that accountability, because I think that that's just so smart for people to succeed. I think I've run out of questions. Is there anything that you want to share with the audience? Anything at all for any women listening to us right now, Christina, that I didn't ask you?
Yeah, there was just one last thing that come to mind was, I think part of like speaking to the person, like where I was at before is like I stopped waiting to find a new partner to live my life now. Like I had always wanted to go camping, but like I was, like afraid to go camping on my own, for example. And then last year I finally decided, well, like I don't want to keep waiting, like how many more years, potentially could be. So last year I was like, you know what, we're going to do it. And so my son and I went camping by ourselves for the first time. And then we went and did again this year. And even things like, I'd always wanted to do kayaking or things like that. And so I think I just started to implement in my life the things that I wanted, and stopped having excuses for why I couldn't do it, or that I needed to be in a relationship again, or things like that in order to do certain things. And that really has, brought a lot more to my life. And I've been able to kind of do the things I wanted to instead of waiting for one day.
And that has built your confidence, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
I can do things. By the way, I was going to bring that up. Thank you for bringing it up, because I forgot about it, because I think it's so freaking impressive. This is next layer of like, I've got my shit together, go camping by yourself. For me, that'll be terrifying. And I don't even want to do it in company, period. I just don't want to do it. So I feel like it's so impressive that you're like, I'm going to set my own campfire and my tent, and we're going to go kayaking, and like, you've done it. So good for you. Good for you. Good for you for noticing the limiting beliefs that you had about what's okay for you to do. And I think of my infertility crew who might be listening to this as well. We do the same with a pregnancy. We kind of put our life on hold until we become a mom. Okay, that's a trip we'll do when we become a mom, if we become a mom. And like, before you know, like years go by, and like, what the heck? I could have been living my life fully and doing all the things while becoming a mom. Like for me, it was a 5-year wait. And I did cancel so many things, and I didn't do so many things that's the only regret I have in life, is that the things that I put on hold for my dream to come true first, instead of just living my dream and then letting more dreams come true. So I think that that's such a smart point for you, or remark to make for our audience. If we do have people in here who are business owners who are thinking, what the heck, how do we function inside Instagram? Where can they find you?
So you can find me on Instagram at Christina.Wirch. And yeah, I'm a lead generation and engagement expert. So what I do is I help coaches primarily, and also online service providers, to connect them with their ideal clients online and help them to build those relationships so that you can attract more clients to you, have that consistent income, and be able to increase your impact with what you do as well.
And she's great at what she does. She's completely sold out. Are you sold out for the year?
I am currently booked out for my Done For You services, where I do your engagement for you until the fall. And then I might have some spots open, but also do intensives where I kind of teach you how to do your lead generation and engagement more effectively, so that if you want to be able to bring ideal clients into your audience so that they can see the content you're creating, hear what you're selling, all those kind of things, that you'll have the tools to do that on your own as well.
There you go. So all of Christina's information will be in the show notes, and you guys can click through her website, find her on her Instagram. But if you're not a business owner, if you're just a fellow woman who is listening to this story and thinking, Jesus Christ, thank you so much, Christina, for coming and sharing with us. And like, it spoke to me. Let us know. You can also reach out to her. You can reach out to me if you enjoy this type of episodes, so that I know I can bring more of the same. I know that in the past, you guys have told me how much you enjoy real life stories. So it's not just like, just me talking about like these grandiose changes that people can make, but this is an actual human who has taken the steps and has done the work, and look at the results. And we're just starting to see, because you just started, like this transformation has happened. It's not even 2 years fully. So I cannot wait to see, Christina. I want you to know I'm one of your biggest fans. I am sincerely so proud of you. So impressed by how much you've taken life into your own hands and created out of nothing something. And I will applaud you, and I want you to grow an empire. That's what I want you to do, and train people eventually, and like just be that leader that we need in our community, to be talking to more women and showing them what's possible if they get out of their own way. So I'm always thankful that I was a part of your journey for the time that I was, and I am forever going to cheer you on and support you in your journey, because I think the world of you.
Well, thank you so much. That means a lot to hear that, and that totally makes my day. So thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. And don't forget to come back next Monday for your new episode. If you haven't subscribed to my podcast, go ahead and do that now. You just press the button that says subscribe. And all that means is that every Monday when I release a podcast, you get notification that you've got something amazing to listen to. And you can also find me on Instagram at olgas.way or at fertility.seeker if what you want to follow me on is my fertility journey and advice. I am there every day, guys. That's where you can find me every day. Talk to you guys soon. And see you next Monday.